Hello friends, welcome back to Engineering Today, and we're back with some latest space updates. Today we'll start with an update on B-7 static fire and B-8 rollout, followed by Russia's indirect threat to Starlink. We'll wrap up with a recent Starlink launch. Let's get started with the recent static fire test of Booster 7 carried out by the SpaceX team at Starbase. This year, the month of September seems to be the most important time period of SpaceX's Starbase progression and preparation for the upcoming orbital test flight. Nearly 2 weeks ago, SpaceX teams had carried out the static fire test of all 6 Raptor engines on Ship 24, and very recently they've carried out a 7-engine static fire test of Booster 7, which is more than double the engines tested during the 31st of August static fire test. With this, SpaceX have taken a step forward towards orbital launch. Not only the test alone, but also the rolling of Booster 8 to the pad a few hours after the test shows SpaceX's unstoppable craving to reach Mars. SpaceX has started the most important phase of Booster 7 testing since early August. After that, we've seen multiple tests being done on the prototype. That test phase had started with 2 rapid 1-engine static fire tests out of 20 installed engines of B-7. Then all 33 engines were installed in the booster. By the end of August, B-7 had undergone a 3-engine static fire test. Practically, it was a 2-engine test as one was aborted. In the first half of September, B-7 carried out multiple spin prime tests, including 2 33-engine spin prime tests. After this comes the recent 7-engine static fire test. SpaceX had published about that recent test beforehand. According to them, they've planned to carry out 2 7-engine spin prime tests on the 16th and 19th of September. The tests go as planned. They've successfully completed spin primes and, without wasting time, head towards static fire tests. As per reports, on the 19th of September, after successfully completing the 2nd spin prime test, B-7 propellant tanks were again refilled with methane and liquid oxygen. Then, the Super Heavy Booster 7 ignited those 7 Raptor engines that they've tested during spin prime tests. Reports say that the test had a duration of 5 seconds. According to some reports, it's assumed that if those 7 V2 Raptor engines of Booster 7 had operated in full might, then the thrust produced would be more than 1,600 tons. Sources state that with this amount of thrust, the 7-engine static fire test broke the record for most thrust produced by any prototype tested at Starbase. This test also creates the record of igniting most engines on a single prototype, both for ship and booster. After the test was completed, Musk tweeted, "7-engine static fire," along with a video of the test. Regarding the success rate of the test, Musk wrote, "Chamber pressure looked good on all 7 engines." But SpaceX is not stopping with this record-breaking test. They've a bigger goal of firing up all 33 engines, complete stack, orbital flight, and testing out successors of B-7. Just a few hours after the static fire test, SpaceX teams rolled out and transported the engineless Booster 8 to orbital pad for upcoming tests. Regarding the upcoming steps of SpaceX, Musk shared an update. He wrote, "Booster 7 now returns to high bay for robustness upgrades, and Booster 8 moves to pad for testing." He further said that next big test is probably full stack wet dress rehearsal, then 33 engine firing in a few weeks. So, according to the tweets from Musk, it's expected that very soon we're going to see the world's tallest rocket once more after another complete stack of the Starship and Super Heavy booster. And the rollout of Booster 8 to the pad for cryogenic proof testing is eventually hinting towards preparations for the test campaign for orbital flight number 2. According to reports, very soon B-7 will be removed from the orbital launch mount and B-8 will be placed there to ensure perfect time management. Upon returning to the factory, teams will work upon B-7 for some robustness upgrades. According to Musk, it seems that SpaceX teams can easily manage those upgrades within a short space of time. And by the time B-7 completes its upgrades, it's expected that B-8 will complete proof testing and be ready to head back to the factory for Raptor installation. In our next update, SpaceX's Starlink is getting indirect threats from Russia. In response to SpaceX's Starlink satellite internet service helping the Ukrainian military, Russia has threatened to retaliate against it. The warning was given last week at a United Nations Working Group meeting on decreasing space risks by a Russian official by the name of Konstantin Vorontsov. Vorontsov didn't specifically mention SpaceX or Starlink, but he was reportedly a former acting deputy director of Russian Foreign Ministry Department. He added, "We would like to stress an exceedingly dangerous tendency that goes beyond the beneficial usage of extraterrestrial technologies and has been apparent during the events in Ukraine." Vorontsov issued a threat by mentioning, "It seems like our colleagues do not realize that such actions, in fact, constitute indirect involvement in military conflicts. Quasi-civilian infrastructure may become a legitimate target for retaliation. At the very least, this provocative use of civilian satellites is questionable under the Outer Space Treaty, which provides for the exclusively peaceful use of outer space and must be strongly condemned by the international community." Elon Musk, CEO of SpaceX, appears to have paid notice to the Russian statement. "Starlink is intended for peaceful use only," the man tweeted on Friday. For Ukraine to maintain its internet presence during its conflict with Russia, SpaceX has sent more than 12,000 Starlink dishes. Many civilian regions of the country, including hospitals, homes, and companies, are receiving high-speed broadband service via the system. There is no doubt, however, that the Ukrainian military has also been using Starlink to communicate in an encrypted manner and to manage drones that can attack Russian forces. In April, a Ukrainian soldier told journalist David Petrikharakos what had happened, saying, "I want to say one thing. Elon Musk's Starlink is what changed the war in Ukraine's favor." We'll wrap up with SpaceX completing the 60th operational Starlink launch after 5 repeated delays. Recently, SpaceX has completed their 60th operational Starlink satellite launch after repetitive delays due to weather. SpaceX had first scheduled their Starlink 434 mission to launch on the 11th of September, but due to some unspecified reason, the launch date was delayed to the 13th of September. But on the 13th, launch was called off an hour before liftoff due to lightning and bad weather conditions. And this bad weather situation continued to delay the Starlink mission from the 13th to the 17th of September. And finally, on the 18th of September, SpaceX was able to carry out the launch with stable weather. The launch was carried out at around 8:18 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station's LC-40 pad. It was supported by a Falcon 9 booster, B-1067, and the launch delivered almost 54 satellites to low Earth orbit. This was the 6th launch of booster B-1067. With successful landing, B-1067 marks SpaceX's 68th consecutive successful booster landing. Presently, SpaceX has more than 3,000 Starlink satellites operational in orbit. As per reports, SpaceX now has 2 more Starlink launches, 435 and 436, scheduled before the end of this month. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your valuable feedback in the comment section. This will help us to improve.